Hello, Jeff here. Workout. Um, Come here to talk to you today about a few movies. I don't think we have any real business to take care of pre-show, so well, we don't have a guest today, but we have been working on getting guests, so we're really close to having some really great people on to talk about movies. So get ready for that. Get excited. Um, Today, I will be talking to. So basically, my intro for our movies today. That's right, I said plural movies. Let me explain. So, as you will know, maybe early in the podcast, one of my first episodes, I looked at an Ingmar Bergman movie called The Passion of Anna. The Passion of Anna, and you know, I basically my main criticism of it was that it was not that it was stupid, which I stand by. Now, however, since that time, I have gotten feedback from people saying that in fact the movie is not stupid, but that I was stupid for thinking it was. So I'd like to address some of that criticism. First off, if you listen to these podcasts, which I imagine you do because you're listening to this one right now, as I'm talking specifically to you, the people who are listening, you will know, as someone who listens, that in fact I'm not stupid, I'm actually in fact very smart. And when it comes to this movie, I was entertaining the possibility, though, that people maybe had some good feedback. It was an early movie that I did, and maybe I missed some of the points of the movie, I don't know. So, okay. In light of that possibility, I said, why don't we try another Ingmar Bergman movie? Here we go. Today we will be talking a little bit about The Silence by Ingmar Bergman. I'm giving it another shot. This one is from even earlier than the other one. I think it's from the 1960s and early of the decade. Now, full disclosure, it took me a while to watch this movie, as I watched 3 movies in between the start and the finish of this movie. So, today we'll be talking a little bit about The Silence, but mostly we'll be talking about Battlefield Earth. Part 2 we'll be talking about Gotti, and Part 3 we'll be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan, and then we're going to wrap it up by finishing the discussion of Ingmar Bergman's The Silence. So that's good. That's the platform. So, The Silence begins, it's very quiet, and I thought, as a caveat here, I thought something that would make me enjoy The Silence, maybe a little more than The Passion of Anna, was indeed that it was more silent. The Passion of Anna had a lot of talking, a lot of subtitles, which is fine, but I think it was more confusing than it had to be. So I really appreciate that the movie The Silence might have less talking, and indeed it did. So, it starts with 3 people. One is a little boy, and 2 adult women, his mother is Anne, and they're traveling, and we don't know exactly where or why. And they go to a hotel. Yeah, and it's, there's, like I said, there's not, it's kind of quiet. So I think around this point of time is when I turned it off. And then shortly thereafter, I did watch Battlefield Earth. So we're going to talk about that today. So Battlefield Earth, starring the one and only John Travolta. I guess he's a supporting actor, more or less. And it's about, it's a lot more, okay, so basically it's in the realm of movies that people say are so bad they're good. It's one of those movies. It's a bad movie. I'll say I got a lot out of it, however. So, something really moving about, how do I put it? Well, you know what? First, I want to start with talking about how it was not made now. So politically, there are some challenging moments. In some ways, we have to acknowledge that it is sexist. As you know, I'm a big proponent of feminism. I've been very attracted to movies that would be described generally as sort of feminist kind of movies. So, I feel like this movie in some ways is sexist. First off, all of the women in it are very attractive, and I don't think that's realistic to the world, and I think it's actually quite unkind to women who are not attractive. So if there's an ugly woman out there, she might not feel represented. What else do I have? Sorry about that. My recording cut out there. So I'm back. Hello? Okay, so I'm back. My recording cut out there briefly after I was talking, I believe, about the issues of the sexism in the movie. So we can acknowledge these things, but it does not make the movie bad. It does not make it a bad movie. We can still enjoy the movie. So the other issue I had that I want to bring up, just to indicate my allyship, was actually issues of racism, which is very much in the news today. And I felt that, generally speaking, John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker, these characters represented an alien race in the movie. And I think in very many ways, they were not portrayed with as much depth as they could have been. They were actually very mean characters. And the whole race was like that. So it made me think about it being racist. And actually, spoiler alert, so please, I'm going to give you a second here to fast forward 30 seconds. Okay, spoiler alert. In the end, they do genocide the aliens, the humans do, with a big bomb. And to me, that sounds like racism. So I just want to make that clear, okay, that I understand, and I come from this progressive perspective too, and I'm very political as well, and I thought it was really important for me to make it very clear that I do not approve of that kind of behavior, okay? But we can still like the movie. So, moving forward, I thought these movies, The Silence by Ingmar Bergman, and The Battlefield Earth by John Travolta, I thought that these movies had an interesting synchronicity. They were both very spiritual. So The Silence, it was very quiet, but I also heard somewhere that quiet represents God, and that God doesn't exist, or that it does exist, or that it might exist, or the shape it takes if it does exist might not exist as we think it exists. And then in The Battlefield Earth by John Travolta, and the director, whose name is eluding me, it is also very spiritual. I think it's asking the question about what is it that makes us human, and what is it that would make an alien if they were not human. And through that we can see humanity. I don't think I articulated that as well as I meant it to be. So in a sense, Battlefield Earth comes from a tradition of Scientology, which I understand is an important religion in the West, in California, and John Travolta is a major proponent of this. And actually, the man who wrote the book on which the movie is based actually contributed a lot of texts to this religion of Scientology. So it is about God and our place in the universe and what knowledge is, and how important it is that we band together in the face of existential threats. And how if we tap the sources of our knowledge and we have bravery and courage, then we can eradicate any threats, even if it is racist, through the genocide of aliens. Right? So I thought that was actually very moving, and it made me think a great deal. And in fact, I found a lot of that thinking about that movie I was able to do in the second half of The Silence, which I'll talk about in a few episodes from now. So I thought they had an interesting synchronicity in that way. I recommend both. I do think that you should watch them together. And I do think what I did by only watching half and watching another was better than watching all of it and then all of another movie. So if anyone has anything to think about that or say to me online about that, think about what I just said. Okay? So I thought The Silence was actually very smart, not stupid, and that Ingmar Bergman is a good filmmaker. So think about that before you email me online. So that's it for today. Part 2, like I said, we're going to be talking about Gaudi, and also starring John Travolta. And we're going to converse about whether or not there may or may not be any synchronicities with Ingmar Bergman or with Battlefield Earth. So that's it for today. I hope everyone's staying fit. I know it's hard during COVID to have the energy, so it's hard. Watching movies and working out and these kinds of things can be very taxing. So I encourage you to pace yourself. And it's really important that you continue to listen to my podcast for your own mental health. If you're feeling lonely, a great way to connect is by sending the link of the podcast to other people. It's a good conversation starter. If you rate, review, subscribe, you'll be part of a great community who will embrace you. I've already seen it online. People are doing very nice things for each other. So I encourage you to engage in that community and improve your mental health during COVID-19 times. And if you want to email me personally, like I said, you can. But please, keep it respectful. I've been getting a lot of strongly worded emails about the title of the show or about a past episode. And listen, I read the emails and I'm trying my best to accommodate it, and I'm really, really trying here, okay? I just need your support. So thank you all, and that's it for today. Peace out. See you next time. Bye. Stay fit. Stay tough.